Hey, it's been several months since my last Death Note video, so why not another now? Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Anime Theory, where the requests for more Death Note content never end, and neither does my want to talk about this wonderful series. And before I get started, I need to mention that this theory will contain spoilers for Death Note. If you haven't watched it, then I'd suggest doing so, as this series is brilliant. Personally, it's my second favorite currently, though to be honest, my favorites list does change quite often, basically on a borderline daily basis. But yes, Death Note is clearly a favorite here on this channel. I have never seen a group of people so devoted to a single anime, and it makes me really happy too, since it gives me even more opportunity to talk about this fantastic series. And talk we have. We've spent quite a lot of time on Death Note characters, whether it be near manipulating the ending, the mental aspects of the series, and now today is no different either. You see, we're discussing a theory that has long been a subject of debate for fans. That is, exactly what happened at the end of Death Note. By that I mean, what happened after Light lost the confrontation with Nier. A variance of this theory has circulated forums and videos for years, but most people tend to leave, well, let's just say, lacking evidence to say the least. Being the addict that I am, I've decided to completely spell out what happened to our dear pal Light, and oh boy is this an interesting one. Let's dig right in. So if you're a keen watcher of Death Note, you'd recall that upon receiving the Death Note, Light is informed of something interesting. Ryuk states that the user of a Death Note is unable to go to heaven or hell, and that they go somewhere else instead. What's interesting is that in the Death Note universe, neither hell or heaven exist. Instead, upon death of a person, they go to Mu, or nothingness. Taking this into mind is interesting because that implies that there would be no afterlife to go to regardless, especially in the case of the user of a Death Note. This begs the question then, where exactly does the user of a Death Note go? Well, I believe I can provide the exact answer through context clues. Now firstly, recall that we only get to see two different realms, that of Earth and the Shinigami realm. With heaven and hell not existing either, this suggests that they are the only two realities that exist in the Death Note universe. These two universes are connected as well, as the Shinigami have the ability not only to watch the human realm and kill off humans using the Death Note, but they can also travel easily through the worlds through the use of their wings. With these two worlds being the only existing worlds, and with both of them being connected, it seems likely that the only place for the Death Note users to end up is the Shinigami realm. There's more evidence than this, however. The show makes consistent allusions to the idea of Light going to the Shinigami realm. After Ryuk explains the dire state the realm is in, Light seems to like the idea of fixing the realm, even going as far to tell Ryuk that perhaps his realm could be fixed. After this, however, we never really get any continuation of the storyline at all. The show just ignores the entire plot point and moves on. Not to mention, the show makes several allusions to Light ending up there, chief among those is in the second opening. Right at the end, Light is shown broken in the middle of the Shinigami realm, the Death Note in a small puddle and Light seemingly trapped there. This isn't some vague symbolism trying to tell you that Light will lose. This was specifically done to show you what will happen to Light. Considering the lack of any afterlife and the previous points, it's obvious that the only place for Light to end up in is the Shinigami realm. I mean, it only makes sense. Where else would Ryuk be referring to? But I hear what you're saying. What would happen next? What would happen if Light ended up in the Shinigami realm? It's not like there's any way to know, right? Wrong. In fact, we already have seen what happens to Light. You just might not have heard of it. Present in the Death Note Relight films, which are retellings of the original Death Note story, there exists some extra story we never saw before. We get to see Ryuk long after the events of Death Note and the existence of another Shinigami. And this Shinigami is none other than the god of the New World himself, Light Yagami. It may not seem like it initially, but trust me, there's no two ways about it. This has to be Light. There's just too many similarities. Firstly, the appearance is obviously extremely close to Light. He looks far more human than most of the Shinigami present in the show, though to be fair, Shinigami in general do look eerily close to humans. His clothing looks similar to what Light wore throughout the series, and even his hair is literally almost the exact same color as Light's. Appearance-wise, the two share tons of similarities. Heck, it even limps in the same way that Light does at the end of the series after being shot by Matsuda. Also, this Shinigami takes an extreme interest in the human world, and seeks out Ryuk specifically to hear about the story. He even bribes him with an apple, and tosses it in the same exact way that Light would. In the middle of the story, however, Ryuk starts talking differently, stating, "You were not a god. You were just... gone already?" Not only does it seem as if he's talking to the Shinigami directly, but this same Shinigami leaves to go to the human world early, perhaps already knowing the ending to the story. It's clear due to this strange interest followed by the sudden exit that this Shinigami had ulterior motives, and knew something more than normal. He even knows that Ryuk has this story to begin with, and actively seeks him out. It's a bit obvious that this is all planned out from the beginning. Just look at the situation surrounding the Shinigami as well. They live in a dull world with very little being shown of their origins. We don't know how Shinigami are created, why they exist, or why they're so connected with the humans. I mean, seriously, they build their lifespan by killing off humans, and who else besides the Shinigami are allowed to use the Death Note? That's right, humans. Even the appearances of the Shinigami look very human, featuring limbs, heads, bodies, and a general structure that, though a bit freaky, undoubtedly share several similarities with humans. They can even consume food, though in their case, they don't need to digest food. Apparently, their organs are rotted, which implies that not only did they previously have organs, but that they were likely similar to that of a human, considering the fact that they still consume food, specifically apples. Also, look at the population of Shinigami. It's not exactly a large group, and yet the society still hasn't gone extinct. In essence, these Shinigami clearly can die, and yet the group still exists. Sure, they can extend their lifespan by killing humans with a Death Note, but as the series explains, several of them just die because they don't do it. So, how could this society repopulate? How could a set of creatures without the ability to reproduce somehow keep the society going? Well, that's easy. By turning humans into Shinigami by giving them the Death Note. So, in the end, Light didn't just die off at the end of the anime. As the series shows, humans who use the Death Note clearly go somewhere after death that normal humans don't go to. Considering the aspects of the Shinigami themselves, the abundance of symbolism in scenes portraying Light in the Shinigami realm, and the obvious similarities between Light and this Shinigami, it's clear that Light transformed into one after his loss at the end of the anime. As the series shows, however, one door closing simply opened up another one. Now that Light is no longer human, he's able to do something completely different. Perhaps Light can not only continue his plans to fix the world, but also fix the desolate Shinigami realm as well. I'm sure he'll come up with some crazy plan, and this time there'll be no cheating Niers to get in the way. But that's just my crazy theory. I hope you enjoyed it. And hey, if you like this video, why don't you check out some of my other videos, or hey, how about you comment anything, I'm good with it. If you want to talk about goldfish, talk about goldfish, they're pretty great. And hey, if you like this kind of video, why don't you subscribe and stuff like that, because, you know, kind of helps you see other videos like it. And if you want more Death Note content, tell me in the comments, because the more comments I get, the more Death Note videos I make. So, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you later.